Mind block. For every Osu player, mind block is probably the worst obstacle that we all have to face. There is nothing worse than having your skill inhibited by artificial pressure thanks to your deteriorating mentality. Trust me, I've been there before, and we've all been there before. But for some of us, just playing to overcome those mental demons is not satisfying enough. There are people out there who can do things that transcend humanity as if they don't feel pressure at all. So, as a challenge, why not add some additional stakes to add even more pressure? And by stakes, I mean let's give some money to someone for setting a legendary score that no one has set before. Okay, not just some money. Let's give them a lot of money. Osu bounties are nothing new to the Osu community. In fact, Osu bounties have become enough of significance that the Osu All-Stars Twitter account run by Skill is dedicated to the many ongoing bounties in progress. The concept of bounties is simple. Sometimes there is a score that no one has ever set, and to encourage people to set that score, some people choose to put money on the table as a reward for the first person to set that desired score of choice. Given a player that has the skill necessary to take on those bounties, people can enjoy watching others making history while the player themselves can take home a monetary reward. Bounties can be placed on anything at any time, and most of them aren't very expensive, as most of them are around the $50 or $100 range. However, for extremely desired scores, large amounts of money in the hundreds, sometimes thousands, will be put on the line for players to earn. For example, there was a $1,000 bounty waiting to be claimed by the first person to set a 700 PP play, which ended up going to Shigetora for his one missed choke on Blue Zenith with Hard Rock. However, most of the time, bounties are placed on maps without FCs and are specifically put in place to encourage a player to get the first FC on a particular map. To verify a play's legitimacy for a bounty, a live stream or live play with a hand cam is required to make sure that the bounties are not getting falsely claimed. So if the monetary reward and historic score was not enough pressure, people are also forced to record or stream themselves while playing. Doing something like this is nothing out of the ordinary, but sometimes a little bit of pressure makes a huge difference. This rule actually came into effect with Vaxay's FC on Good Bounce. There was a $300 reward for the first person to FC the map, which at the time was not loved. Vaxay actually managed to do this. The problem is, he wasn't recording his play. Because of that mistake, $300 was lost on a score that undoubtedly takes an immense amount of time. But a few minutes later, he presses record, FCs the map again, and claims the $300 reward for himself. This map is 10.32 stars, by the way, and he FC'd it twice. Out of all Vaxay's moments of glory, this is probably the most Vaxay of things. Sometimes people want historic plays to be set right now, and there is no better way to rush people into doing so than throwing a bounty for a score that everyone wants to be set. And sometimes, people will place bounties on other people to have their scores sniped. For example, Rohulk had the #1 score on Cycle Hit for 4 years. So to incentivize someone taking his #1 spot, why not give $100 to the first person that snipes his score? This bounty was all in good fun, but sometimes bounties can be used for more sad purposes. Nero's #1 score on Airman with Flashlight was not sniped for almost 4 years. But will Cookie finally end Nero's reign at the top of the leaderboard and took the #1 spot on the map for himself with Hidden Hard Rock? And then, for whatever reason, a $50 bounty was placed on his head for someone else to take the #1 spot from him. It's unknown whether or not the person that placed this bounty knew that Nero's score was sniped, but regardless, this bounty was placed after Will Cookie set his score. And then his score ended up getting sniped by Vaxay just 18 hours later. Yes, this actually happened. Why did you do this to him? The poor man has a family. Now that we've seen just what Osu bounties have to offer, what happens when they are taken too far? Or more specifically, what happens when people in the Osu community want something to happen so badly, they are willing to use any means for that thing to happen? And by their means, I mean pooling a lot of money as a reward for someone to set a historic score. One map in particular that has gotten so close to being FC'd by so many people, it's incredible that no one has managed to break the curse yet. That map in particular, of course, is Dokito's Yomi Yori. This map was submitted all the way back in May 2016 and was ranked in January 2017. But after more than 5 years, there is not a single FC on this map to be found. We've gotten oh so close to this historic score, but never has anyone managed to be the one to make history and finally bring this map to rest. Excluding halftime scores, the highest combo someone got on this beatmap was 3,848 by Utami. Except when he tried to clutch out the FC, nerfs got the best of him on the 1/3 section. And excluding halftime scores, there are 9 plays on the top 50 leaderboard with at least 99% accuracy. All of those plays have a miscount of 5 or lower. In terms of miscount, the closest we've ever been to seeing an FC is BTMC's 99.17% S rank. His one and only mistake in this play is this one slider break. Ed, I love you, bro. You're one of the best players in the game right now and miles ahead of me, but come on, this was a miss. Or slider break. You get the point. But the main takeaway is this one mistake is the one thing separating us between this moment we're in right now and the memes of this beatmap finally coming to an end. Because of the circumstances, like the pressure of the community closely following the progression toward the first FC, nerves, and the fact that so many people have gotten so close to FCing this map but can't, I will go out on a limb and say that Dokito's Yomi Yori is the most mind-blocked beatmap of all time. So to add on to this stress, let's add a bounty because why not? On April 25th, 2021, the user Pillow would place a $100 bounty on the map waiting to be claimed by the first person to FC it. No one was able to do it. So, to incentivize more attempts, on November 1st, 2021, Kieran decided to offer $1,000 for the first person to FC Yomi Yori within 2 weeks, bringing the total bounty to $1,100. But no one managed to FC it within the 2-week time period, and the additional $1,000 was lost. But I guess the user Broiler was bored and wanted to spice things up, so on February 1st, 2022, he donated $1,000 himself to bring back the bounty for the first FC on Yomi Yori to $1,100 yet again. And this time, there was no time limit, but there were still no FCs even after that. And this is where things begin to get crazy. On June 30th, Maddie R would contribute $400 to the bounty, bringing the total to $1,500 for the first FC. Cool. I guess blood pressure medication sales would be at an all-time high thanks to this bounty. And then the very next day, on July 1st, Laris would add $727 to the bounty, making the total $2,227. This bounty was getting so ridiculously out of hand, it's not even funny. And then not even 3 hours would pass before Pavlin OX would add $1,106 to the bounty, bringing it to its current total of $3,333. Oh, and this guy is the lead developer for Warrior Cats Ultimate Edition, by the way. What a Chad. At this point, it seems like the more money people add to the bounty, the more mind-blocked people will get, which delays the first FC even longer, prompting more people to add even more money to the bounty to repeat this vicious cycle. Money talks, and it's practically screaming for someone to overcome all the pressure and hype we've put on this beatmap to claim a sweet reward. $3,333 might not seem much in comparison to other games, but for Osu standards, this is a lot of money. Assuming that someone who has won $0 from Osu tournaments win this bounty, they would win more money for setting one play than Aryu has won throughout his entire tournament career. He's won the Osu World Cup 3 times and Corses Open twice, by the way. Yomi Yori is 8 minutes and 10 seconds long, so winning the bounty would be equivalent to making more than $24,000 an hour. Just one play on Osu can bring you a reward incomparable to anything else. But someone rose to that challenge and ended everything. 3 days after the $3,333 bounty was announced, Karcher rose to the occasion and set the very first FC with ungodly accuracy. Just 19 100s, 920 PP, 99.6% accuracy, and not even a single slider end drop throughout the entire map. The memes were over. Dokito's Yomi Yori finally had an FC, except, remember how a live player live stream is required to claim a bounty? Karcher completely forgot about that. In an instant, we all went from falling head over heels for this play to collectively feeling sadness. More than $3,000 could potentially be lost because of one mistake. The funny thing is, people don't really care about Karcher's insane score and are instead just focused on the money being offered, which, to be fair, is a lot of money like I've already mentioned. And this led to a massive debate. There are arguments as to how everyone should handle this situation, since by failing to record a live play, Karcher technically broke the rules and is ineligible to receive the bounty. On one hand, you have the people that believe Karcher should still earn the money for the bounty. They argue that while he did not stream or record a live play, we can trust him to not cheat or use a replay editor to submit the score. It's Karcher after all, he should be able to do it. Not only that, but he did end up setting the first FC on the map. Therefore, he rightfully deserves the money for the bounty. On the other hand, the people that believe Karcher is not entitled to the bounty have reasons of their own. Firstly, the rules explicitly stated that a live play or live stream is required to be eligible for the bounty, and since Karcher failed to abide by those rules, his play should be disregarded entirely, FC or not. If Vaxe had to FC Good Bounce twice to claim the bounty because he forgot to record, so should Karcher. Additionally, $3,000 is a lot of money, and those people who believe that Karcher should not receive the bounty believe that $3,000 is way too much to be given out on just trust. Even for the most trusted members in the community, we're talking about $3,000. So what should we do? Should we just give Karcher the $3,333? Or should we force him to FC the map again since he did not record? Well, Karcher didn't really give us much time to think over this decision. The donors of the bounty gave him the option of live streaming his attempts on the map with a hand cam, and all he needed to do was get a 1 miss or S rank. And as promised, Karcher went live on Twitch to stream his attempts on the beatmap. He didn't need to re-FC the map, but sometimes lightning strikes in the same place twice. The mad lad did it. No one was able to FC this map before him, and Karcher managed to do so twice in back-to-back days. All it took was just 1 hour of attempts on stream for him to end it all. While everyone else fell just short of making history, Karcher pulled through in the end. It wasn't the smoothest of journeys, but he did it. He might have score V1'd himself and lost 2 PP on his new play, but it was finally over, for real this time. Osu's craziest bounty has finally been claimed, and Karcher took home the $3,333 reward. He lost 2 PP and earned himself $3,333. I would say that's totally worth it.